explosively. Hello.
I'm a few beers deep already. I'm sorry.
Okay, live feed. Microphone,
He's
voice, mic.
okay. He's liquored up for this
Here
one.
we go.
I gotta like catch up. Holy.
Sorry, I'm 3 beers deep. I think it's the bad day.
Could you tell me where the bathroom is?
I think it's the bad day.
Do not go in there.
Welcome to Novel Thoughts by Idiots, a show about board games, movies, video games, and anything in between. We don't take ourselves seriously, and neither should you. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to walk the plank of the depths of our minds. I'm your host, Captain Bagels, joined always by my faithful crew, fellow podcaster and longtime friend, RipleyGoose. How you doing tonight?
Welcome aboard.
Oh,
I'm doing great.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. But we're not alone. Who is our other host for tonight and foreseeable future?
Am I being replaced? I think we have your faithful companion, Smee.
Smee, how you be?
Not too bad. So
That's
better than last week's intro. Last time's intro. So, introducing me as a concubine, crap, and all that stuff. All right, but apparently I gotta catch up to RipleyGoose.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think I do. All right,
Plosives.
So,
no, not that.
tonight we are going to be talking about Down Periscope from 1996.
Arr.
We're going down?
But even though you say R, it was actually PG-13.
Heyo.
True.
This is true. This movie does not overstay its welcome, and that's a very good. It's an hour and a half. I thought it was longer than that when I first remembered.
I give my initial thoughts, and you'll get a sneak peek at the preview for me, or my review.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite movies of my childhood.
Well, that's good.
My other
I
half.
kept on calling Kelsey Grammer Kevin Spacey, so I learned something.
Slightly different.
Yeah,
Little bit.
definitely.
Just that would have been
Especially
a
now.
completely different movie. Oh yeah,
Kelsey
Especially
Grammer is
now.
not Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. But this is a movie that was directed by David S. Ward, who is notable other movies were Major League 1, Major League 2,
Favorites.
and Sleepless in Seattle with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan.
You
care
got
for
another
that.
comedy in there too. Don't forget King Ralph. It wasn't the greatest, but it is a notable one.
I will say, I was actually seeing that, thought about mentioning it, but didn't know anybody would know about it. So good call.
Major
So
League
what-
was always funny.
Yes.
Love that
I will
movie.
say, do you guys have fond memories? Like, as Goose would say, this was your favorite childhood movie. How do you
Well, one of my
feel about
favorites,
that?
yes.
Shmee.
So love this movie. I've actually watched it like over the last probably 6 months. I would have to say I watched it like at least 5 times with my other half. So my other half, we won't say her name, but basically she loves this movie. This is actually one of her favorites, and it's very quotable. It's a very, very hilarious movie, and it's very quotable. There's a lot of good one-liners in it, a lot of good lines, and it's downright hilarious. So I'm definitely excited to get into this podcast because there's a lot to say about this movie. All right, so what do we want to begin with first?
Well, I would
Let's-
say...
What are
Let's
your
do-
initial thoughts, Bagels?
Oh, my
I don't think
initial
we got
thought-
yours.
Oh, I was going to say, prior to getting into that, did we want to all say what we're drinking tonight?
Definitely,
yes,
because
let's
I
not get
think we
ahead
need
of
to catch
ourselves.
up.
Well, give me 1 second. I gotta pour me glass. I'll be right there. I have my drink to you guys. So, starting off tonight, Smee, what are you drinking?
All right, this is actually a knock to Grandma's Boy because of one of the drinks that they actually were drinking in there. I got a bottle here. Hold on a sec.
Nice.
I'm going to be pouring myself a little bit of Cabo Wabo.
Ooh.
Cabo Wabo.
Sammy
Cabo Wabo.
Hagar.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Cabo Wabo shot. So we'll get that started, but I'll wait until you guys have your drinks ready, and then we'll begin.
So, Goose, it sounds like you've been drinking, not starting. What are you drinking?
First of all,
tonight?
what are you implying? You
3 sheets to the wind.
So what you drinking?
Second of all, my favorite beer, I feel. It's been my favorite beer, actually, for a couple of years now, actually.
All right.
So, I'm drinking Goose Island Beer Company's
Goose
IPA. That's all it's called, IPA.
Okay, it's with your brand, Ripley Goose, drinking.
I know.
A Goose.
And the best part about it, it's 5.9% alcohol. So it packs a little punch. I mean, it's not the strongest thing, but it gets the job done.
Ah, very nice. And I am drinking Di-Zorono and Coke tonight. I thought I'd change it up from Corona.
I know how you got that bottle.
Yeah. Oh,
That was,
a little bit.
Yes.
I'm a little older, a little wiser.
Yes,
drunker.
your mother's birthday gift to you.
Yes, it
Happy
was very
birthday.
nice.
Yeah, I also
Thank
got
you.
one.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's a good gift. I can't complain. So, with that being said,
Who's going to count down?
Well,
Oh, wait, I'm the only one, I guess. Never mind.
no, go ahead, let's do it.
3, 2,
2,
1.
1. I'm drinking.
Very smooth.
Tasty. Well, I think Smee is the one that's wanting to get this started, so why don't you start it off?
Well, as you mentioned, you were talking about the director, which I thought was actually very good to talk about, because David S. Award, he actually has done the Major League movies. Yeah, if you actually know about those two movies, Down Periscope is actually one of his other hilarious ones. But this has got a great cast. We're gonna go first.
Phenomenal cast.
Yes. To me, it's like a who's who of like the forgotten. They're not necessarily known by name for the most part, but it's like people you've definitely seen before.
Yes, of course. There's a lot of big names, but like them that you just character actors you see a lot of
Yeah,
times.
exactly.
Movie was released in 1996, so keep that in mind as we go back to the 90s. But
And how I miss it.
Yes, I miss the 90s a lot. I agree with Goose. I don't know how does Shmee feel about the 90s?
yeah, I mean, the one thing about this film this makes this timeless. The other thing, if you actually notice, like, cell phones don't ruin this movie. Like, that's actually always been a big thing with the movies now, how they aged. Like, you never noticed that, like, a lot of movies could have just been solved with a cell phone.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen in this
Oh
movie.
no, yeah. I think it holds up, is what I would say.
The humor would not be accepted in a new release in this day and age. But to me,
Some
that's what
scenes.
makes the movie. It's good. It's funny. It's tongue in cheek.
Well, I think it's the right amount of humor. It's got it actually has some little suspense scenes they put in there a little bit. It's mostly a fun comedy, and I enjoy that very much. I think Kelsey Grammer is a perfect cast for like a captain who's a little screwy kind of thing,
yeah.
and he does a great job.
He's the main character. He's the basically they kind of focus on him. He's the protagonist throughout the entire movie. He plays Lieutenant Commander Tom Dodge, so he's the one that the whole focal point of the film is around. And then he's got a crazy crew. Kelsey Grammer, of course, is famous from what TV show?
Frasier.
Cheers.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well.
both.
I was like, Frasier, cheers. You're wrong.
Isn't Frasier the spinoff of Cheers though?
I think so. You're right.
I believe so. Yeah.
I'm more
So we're
familiar
the
with
same thing.
Frasier.
All right. So you got Kelsey Grammer. The funny thing is, Kelsey Grammer has had a lot of different roles that you see him in, but he's also the voice of Sideshow Bob and Simpsons. And
I kind of forget that sometimes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
the voice of Sideshow Bob, and guess what? This man also played Beast inside the X-Men X-Men
And
series
he did
by
a
Fox.
fantastic. I loved his portrayal of Beast. I think it was great.
So,
I will say, interesting tidbit of casting is I found out that in an interview at Howard Stern that Tom Arnold was talking to him, and that he actually originally was offered the role of Tom Dodge, but he turned it down. And he did say that after hearing that Kelsey Grammer got portrayed it, he said that he would have done that Kelsey Grammer did a better job than what Tom would have been able to.
I still see him being in the role, though.
You know what's funny, though? Because
McHale's
Tom
Navy.
Arnold also had a movie that was very similar to Down Periscope, I think. I mean,
McHale's
it's not-
Navy. That's the
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was gonna mention that actually as one of my things, just 'cause, like, just looking like very similar movies. It's just, I think we should. I'd be willing to do a McHale's Navy sometime because like they are very similar, and I wonder what time they came out.
Zany crew.
They're like within a year or two of each other.
Yeah.
What's that
that
thing?
is-
Go ahead.
No, seriously, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's that thing in Hollywood. Remember when the movie Ants came out and A Bug's Life came out at the same time, and then there was obviously we had Down Periscope and McHale's Navy, but there's always two movies: Deep Impact, Armageddon. Very similar movies that always, because the scripts get passed around and then people start having ideas, and then they kind of
Volcano
and
and Dante's Peak.
Yes.
I get it.
Exactly. So I can definitely see that. Who's our next cast member? Goose.
Well, I believe, to me, in my opinion, this is the beginning of Rob Schneider's like peak stardom. I feel, but he's in it as Marty Pascal, the second mate to Kelsey, or to Tom Dodge on the
Yeah.
set.
He was part of the Brat Pack during the 90s SNL. That's basically what I say. But the other thing
with
is,
the
too...
Adam Sandler and David Spade.
But see,
kind
that's
of
the thing.
group.
I associate him more with Adam Sandler movies than anything else.
Yeah,
Happy
'cause they're
Madison
like
actually
or
happened
friends.
afterwards.
I will say it was weird to see Rob Schneider in kind of like a position of authority. I mean,
Yeah.
even though they went because
Besides
Over
Deuce
the top
Bigelow.
angry man.
they do it in the beginning when he's like, people kind of were a little scared of him, which is not a typical role for him, So I thought that was a fun twist on something he hasn't really done.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I gotta remember, Rob Schneider also, like, one of his earliest roles is he actually was inside Surf Ninjas. And then he went to, then he got on Saturday Night Live.
For the longest time when I was a kid, not even as a kid, now sometimes, I still get him and Pauly Shore confused. I don't know why. But
Rob Schneider and Pauly Shore. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, Pauly Shore, Rob Schneider. I'm thinking the South Park skit where they
Do you
always
remember
make fun of
saying
Rob
that-
Schneider.
Rob Schneider is the human stapler.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to his show at college, Bagels?
No, I didn't
Oh,
realize
I
he
did.
was there. You saw
Yeah,
him in
he
person.
was so nice. Yeah, he stayed around and met everybody after his show. He was
That's
so nice.
awesome. I actually watched a stand-up of his the other day on Netflix. It's probably still on there. I was impressed. He actually does a whole skit in there where he actually does a legit song, and he turns out Rob Schneider could frickin' sing, which I was not aware of. Like, he's actually got a really good voice.
It's weird too. You don't think of him as a stand-up, but like
Yeah.
they definitely he definitely has his experience or his chops.
Yeah, he's got. Yeah, I know. It's like you always think of him as a side thing, but like he's so confident when he was on stage. Like he carried the whole show. Obviously, he was the stand-up, but he did a fantastic job, and he did a great job in this one as the character he was portraying. I'll say. Then we have Lauren Holly of Dumb and Dumber fame as Lloyd's love interest, I believe it was, and
Her name's on the suitcase.
the name's on the suitcase. Yes, this is true. She did a really she's been in a couple other movies. Works with Adam Sandler in a lot of films to this day. But so that's always nice to see that they have a good relationship. But one other actor and her were in the same movie, Dumb and Dumber. And not sure if you're looking at the notes, so I would give you a guess, but I think you're gonna see. Do you guys know?
Oh, Rip Torn?
I don't.
Okay, I'm glad you don't look at the notes. Harlan
Wait.
Williams.
That's what I just said, man.
Okay, I didn't hear it.
God. By the way, side note on Lauren Holly. Pretty sure she was like my first crush
Oh yeah, I mean the way
that I remember.
she looks so different in the Dumb and Dumber movie. Yeah, she was definitely very attractive.
I mean,
would say.
I was 8 when this movie came out. So
Well, it's weird. Look, it doesn't even look like her. Like the picture today versus what she is in Down Periscope. Like she definitely changes.
I mean, I'm sure there's some plastic surgery in there.
Details.
Not
But,
knocking
yes, that's where I know her from.
Oh yeah.
All right, that's where I've seen her mostly.
But Rip Torn, freaking awesome as Admiral Winslow. I love that guy.
I feel like
yeah.
he's in every like 80s and 90s action movie or like
Dude.
military movie.
Patches of Houlihan.
He was also RoboCop.
Oh yeah,
3.
yeah.
He was in RoboCop 3.
He was in RoboCop 3. It's a terrible movie. Don't.
I don't know, but like I think the best role that I think I ever said Rip Torn was that Patches O'Houlihan. I love if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a dodgeball. You know, and
He's got like that iconic voice.
The voice of Zeus inside Hercules.
and
Yeah, you're right.
Holy crap, you're right. But my favorite line of all time of Rip Torn's is, "Do I need to drink my own urine? No, but it's because I like the taste, and it's sterile."
He's been a slew of different crazy things, like Freddy Got Fingered. Oh my god, that was a terrible movie.
Oh yeah, I do remember that
Tom
being
Green.
very bad. Like I think I erased it from my freaking
Oh my god, it was terrible. Men in
it's
Black,
just-
he was Zed.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why I
Canadian
remember him the
Bacon.
most.
yeah, Zed. I think
Did
Zed.
he do the TV show too, or the cartoon rather?
I don't
think he
know.
voiced him.
Voiced it.
That's a very good possibility. I will say, unfortunately, I was looking up his IMDb, and he passed away in July 9th of 2019. So he was 88 years old. I mean, he had a long life, don't get me wrong. But it's just like, it's always sad to
Can we
see one
can we
of
get
them
some
go.
F's in the chat for Rip Torn?
Yeah.
The one thing I actually found funny is they killed him off, like in real life. You know when they do like the fake celebrity death, like someone tweets that someone died.
Oh
Rip Torn actually had to get up there because they did the Jackie Chan too. But like Rip Torn got out there is like, "I'm not dead."
Not
But
yet.
sadly, shortly after he did pass away, so it was real.
Yeah, it was. It was very, very upsetting to see those. Like when I heard that, I was like, "That sucks." But a person who is not dead is Bruce Dern of
Really?
the Burbs fame. At least that's who I know.
Filmography too.
Like
He-
I've seen him in a ton of things, but I cannot pinpoint like anything he's been in other than this movie.
Have you seen Hateful Eight?
Yes. Oh
he's-
yeah.
Yeah, he was the old Confederate general in there. He was also, I mean, the most recent thing that anybody would probably be able to say that he's been in that's worth watching is was that Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? The
with Brad
Charles
Pitt,
Manson story,
Leonardo.
Quinn- yeah, he's in there too.
Well, so Bruce Dern is currently 85 years old. He was born in 1936. Like, that's kind of crazy. You know, based on this ship being a old World War II submarine from, you know, obviously the World War.
Not World War II.
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah.
He did a lot of westerns when he was actually inside his filmography too. I mean, the one Hang 'em High, I know that from with Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, he was with Clint Eastwood in Hang 'em High. He was like, there's a lot of different movies he plays, like a cowboy or some like inside one of those cowboy films, Western films.
Yeah.
So I will
He
say,
plays a bad guy now.
so we jumping over to Harland Williams, who plays Sonar. He was a real character on this movie, and I think he had some of the best scenes
scene in the movie.
Yeah, he basically took it home. He outshined a lot of them.
Well, do you want to speak about that specific scene? You want to save it for later? Because I have something to say about that.
Save it for later.
Okay.
I will say
ahead.
he set up the behavior for my preteen years, because I used to almost, when I thought nobody was home,
You were trying.
subconsciously I would walk around the house doing the same thing he did in that scene. And sometimes people would be home and I didn't know.
And that's why your grandparents are like, such a sad child.
Brain
No.
damage.
So, this was like, Smee noticed it. I wonder if you noticed it,
Wait,
Goose.
don't skip away from Harland yet.
Okay, what you got?
There's two other movies that are most notable that this guy has done.
I can say
outside of
one.
this.
How high? Not how high. Half Baked.
Okay, Half Baked is one. Well, what's the other
Rocket
one?
Man!
I love that movie.
I've never seen it.
The best scene is the monkey scene.
Oh, it was like,
Wait, is that like that 1930s superhero movie?
No,
That
Rocket
came out
Man's
in
the
the
one
90s?
where he goes to space, to Mars, as a candidate. Yeah, and he...
It's actually a Disney film, believe it or not.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's like completely
Like a Disney
ridiculous.
Channel movie or like a Disney?
No,
like
No,
It's
it was
actually
like
a Disney
theatrical
movie.
release
Oh,
from my
okay.
era.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'm glad to remember that, Smee.
Yeah, the monkey scene was by far like the best thing about that movie. But he those are the only three films I really know that he's like. All the other ones are just kind of like he plays side characters. But the only three films he's really done like major roles in it is those three right there: Rocket Man, Down Periscope, and Half Baked. After that,
I know
he
he's
just
a-
plays
he's
up
actually
with
a
the side
comedian.
characters. Yep.
I know he's a stand-up, and he's pretty good because I've seen him a couple, like not live, but I've seen him
Well,
on like Comedy Central a couple of times.
I will
Did you ever see
save-
the jelly donut skit? The jelly donut he talks about.
I think so.
Oh, well, his scene in frickin' Dumb and Dumber, do you guys remember it?
I don't think I've actually ever seen the
When-
full movie.
When
to be honest.
he's the police officer that pulls over Harry and Lloyd, but Harry and Lloyd pissed in a beer bottle, and he's like, "You drinking beer there, guys?" And he goes to, and it's very similar to the scene that we're going to talk about later, where he drinks the beer thinking it's beer, and he just drinks their piss, pretty much. So it was a very memorable scene.
Did you guys notice this one person in the movie? Because I catch a glimpse of him every time I see it, and I'm like, wait, is that who I think it is?
Yes, he's actually credited. By the way, we checked. He's actually
Patton
credited
Oswalt?
in the credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what I was gonna move to. So you noticed that, Goose? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but he's not. He's like on the screen for like a split second, right?
He's on there for about 3 seconds, and I remember because I was watching it on Tuesday and going like, oh, because I literally just watched a Patton Oswalt stand-up on Netflix, and I was like, oh, frick, that's him. It was
Sounds like
interesting
we should
though.
be sponsored by Netflix.
Yeah. Well, he was on the on the movie, but he had to leave 2 weeks early because he got an opportunity to be a staff writer for Mad TV. If you guys remember that show,
Yep.
which is like ran on the Comedy Central like all the time,
It was like the Fox version of SNL for a while.
pretty much.
Well,
yeah,
I
I mean,
research
obviously,
I did research on this, but Patton Oswalt, like, he started getting to become a headliner comic in like 1996. The film came out in 1996.
this was Patton Oswalt's first theatric appearance.
I was
which
trying to figure that out.
It was, yeah. Like, that was, like, when I was looking, I'm like, oh. So, like, everybody starts, you know, because when we watched the movie, it probably would have been nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
oh, officer, there's somebody on the line for you, Cap, or whatever, and never see him again. And that's why it's fun to watch these older movies, because you start to realize certain characters, you know, maybe didn't get the spotlight, and then turns out they became somebody later on.
That's why, like, I love these mid-90s movies, because they have, like, these huge... Well, they're huge casts when you look back on them, but, like, at the time, obviously, it's, like, a whole bunch of... It's, like, 2 or 3 main people, and then, you know, a whole bunch of nobodies, essentially, at that time. But when you look back on it, it's like, oh, this cast was, like, huge.
So...
Because, like, we didn't even talk about William H. Macy. Like,
he's coming... Yeah! That guy he's in Shameless. He's in freaking Boogie Nights.
That's a really good show.
Fargo.
I know you probably wouldn't like it.
Andrea loved it.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. She watched the entire series, and I'm like, oh, damn. Like, I saw parts of it, and William H. Macy is hilarious. You know what I mean? But it's definitely like, yeah. There were times like, I can't watch this. They're so despicable sometimes. Yeah, so William H. Macy died of Roadhogs. You know, that's what I know him most recently from. I love that movie.
Ironically, he actually also plays another former admiral. Basically, he actually plays inside Sahara.
Oh crap! You're right.
Yeah,
Damn,
he plays in Sahara, and I forgot about it. I watched that one recently, not too long too, and that's a fun one too. If you're looking for like an Indiana Jones,
I love actually Sahara. Not Matthew McConaughey, but his friend, the other one. He's my favorite because he's
what's his name?
He plays Steve. His name is Steve and something. One of the
and my favorite scene is because
Saving Silverman.
Yes, Saving Silverman. My favorite scene in Sahara is because like when they have the foreign fighters like aiming guns down at them, and he's like, "Drop your guns," and he's like, "Okay," and he starts pulling out 20 guns. Like he's just like dropping. Like, yeah, I like that guy. He's smart.
So my theory is the fact that this guy, William H. Macy's character, like retires from the Navy and then becomes that guy inside Sahara.
That makes total sense. It makes total sense. I'm totally behind it.
Yes.
So the last character
fan theory. Yeah.
I like it. The last notable character is Harry Dean Stanton, or plays Howard. He is famous from Alien 1, the very beginning, and it's basically the maintenance in the ship and the chain scene. If you guys remember that,
Yes.
Ringing any bells?
Yeah, he died.
Yeah, so he died in there. He was in Green Mile.
They killed him off in that one. The good thing is, spoiler alert, they did not kill him off in this movie.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about that.
I've never seen Alien, so
he actually survives to the end as an engineer, like he did last time.
Yeah, yeah, he was definitely. Unfortunately, even though they didn't kill him off in the movie, he's dead in real life. Though he died in 2017.
He dead.
He did.
Yeah, but he had a pretty good. He was 91, so he was doing pretty well.
Had a good run.
I mean, he made a cameo experience in Avengers when the Hulk crash lands and the security guard goes to, inspect the, Hulk, who had turned back to Bruce Banner, and he's like, "You okay, son?" Basically.
Wait, can we talk about Buckman for a second? Because I know I've seen him in stuff before. Ken Hudson Campbell.
Yes. Okay, this is where I was going to say. He is the Santa from Home Alone. Go away, but he sits down there and goes, "Go away, kid. You bother me." Gives him some candy and stuff. But he was ending his shift. He was also he was Max in Armageddon.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he definitely. I was going to mention him, so I'm glad you brought that up there are other people in here. Not too many others that I really recognize.
None of them famous, but we do have Dwayne Martin, who plays as Jackson. We have Bradford Tatum as Stepanak, who is the Admiral's son, it turns out, in the end. Okay, we kind of expect you guys watch the movie as you're listening to this. But if you didn't, it's okay, we'll ruin it for you.
But I will say the other
And
notable
Mike Nitro.
Matt Landers, who was William H. Macy's second in command. He was another casualty who, he passed away in 2015. I'm just gonna point out the people who are dead. By the way, I'm just that morbid thing.
You're
Morbid.
an asshole.
Jesus.
No, but he was
Shelby
from,
Huss as
he was
Nitro.
famous from Die Hard, 48 Hours, Commando, Brewster's Millions. So he had a couple good roles in there. And then that's basically the cast for the bulk of it.
All right, you guys want to move into notable scenes?
Of course.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we each probably are going to pick one scene and go from there. But so basically, if we're going to go around the room, all right.
Do we think we all have the number one scene is the same?
All right,
I know what mine is.
Okay, I'm going to say, and I'll be the first one to admit, I'm going to put a vote there that the best scene in this movie has to be the distraction they use with the whale call. Is
That's
that
what
anybody
I'm calling.
else's favorite?
That's mine.
Yep.
Okay,
so we're all in agreement?
now that we're talking that, I'm going to bring this up, what I was trying to bring up. So, Harland Williams, he was actually, I saw a radio interview he was doing, and he informed that the director had come to him and said that they were going to cut the sonar scene, like the whale call, because they didn't know how to produce whale noises, and they thought it was going to be too cost prohibitive, and they weren't going to do it. And he just told them, "I'll take care of it." Okay, and literally he did that, ad-libbed it completely out of nowhere. They didn't know that was going to happen, and so he's so when he stood up, everybody was trying not to crack up because he didn't know what the hell he was doing when he was and they were trying, and when he finished, not only did the cast all crack up, but all the crew was laughing too, thought it was ridiculous, and it turned out to be the best scene in the movie.
Without explain why the look on Kelsey Grammer's face,
Yes,
and also Lauren Hall, they look terrified. Lauren Hall didn't know what to do.
You
Yeah.
see him
He
jump
looked
when he went
terrified.
into the high pitched things. You saw him jump back.
yeah. I think that's the best, when those looks they were giving were genuine, of not knowing what the hell to do.
What the?
Yeah, they were like, "Are you taking a piss? What are we doing here?"
That's my other half's favorite scene as well, which is funny. So everybody loves that scene.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go around the room, and the virtual room, I should say. RipleyGoose, what is another notable scene that you would like us to mention today?
I have two that are two that are tied for second place, but the one I will mention is the Louie scene, where they're pretending to be the fishing or the merchant.
Louie. Oh,
Yes, where they throw off the submarine that is actually chasing them with sonar, the nuclear powered sub. By the way, the premise of this movie, we should probably go into the premise of the movie before we go into the scenes. Yeah, we're just going into scenes. You're what is this film about?
But, okay, well, I will tell you, general consensus is that Lieutenant Commander Tom Dodge is assigned as captain to the USS Stingray. An old diesel-driven submarine has been seen better days. With a crew that consists only of weird guys and a gal, he's headed against the atomic-powered USS Orlando with the mission to destroy a dummy battleship. That opening scene was actually a very loose premise, but it actually starts the whole premise of the movie that Russia was selling off its old submarine stockpiles to other powers, and this could cause a problem with the nuclear powered, because it is actually proven that actually turned out to be a real threat to the US military, and that they've been criticized that nuclear powered subs are actually much louder than diesel powered subs, and many modern militaries actually still use diesel-powered subs. It's a genuine, actually, threat potential.
Yeah, and as sad as it is, as many times as I've seen this movie, tonight when I rewatched it was the first night that I actually realized like the whole point behind the war games.
Yeah, and like
the whole movie was a war game. It basically was a war game simulation. That's why they gave him the boat in the first place. What he calls the USS Rust-Oleum. I thought was amazing. Yes, Kelsey Grammer's character was just like, no offense to the USS Rust-Oleum, but who else will be my crew? And the other notable line, he's just like, are they from World War II also?
Well, it's funny. He makes a comment at within the first 7 minutes, I think, of the movie. It says, "What am I supposed to do? Turn that into a museum?" And it turns out that that submarine is, in fact, a museum, the Pompanito, the sub used in the movie. And it's actually at Pier 45 in San Francisco, at least as of recent lifetimes. But since it was a museum, the Pompanito, which is what they named the Stingray, it couldn't move under its own power because it was like a decommissioned actual museum. The underwater shots were scale models, and the surface shots were actually the Pompanito, but it was being towed. But they cut it, in such a way from the shot that you wouldn't notice.
So, I will say that there weren't many special effects in the movie, but the ones that were in there actually hold up pretty good for being 25 years old.
Yeah, pretty decently. Like, the only thing I was, like, in my notes I did notice... not a big deal.
Stock footage at some
that they were definitely like standing in front of like in that 7-minute scene where they're talking about they're definitely standing in front of like a green screen, and just letting it go. But hey, for the time, low budget movie, not a big deal.
That's right.
Can't be as bad as Die Another Day.
I wouldn't say this was like a B movie, but like you're right, it was. You could tell it was a fairly low budget movie even for the time.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it
was a comedy, so yeah, of course.
Yeah, but they did, and that's not unusual, and they did a great job with the funds I think they had. Another side note for the Pompanito, it actually was in the Pacific Theater, and it had sank or heavily damaged 10 ships.
Damn.
All right, so going back, now that we got the premise of the movie out of the way, going back to RipleyGoose, what would you say your favorite second scene, possibly runner-up, would be?
The runner-up, so my favorite, my top second scene was obviously the Louie where they're trying to depict a fishing boat, drunk fisherman. But my second favorite scene would have to, tied for second favorite scene, would have to be the walk the plank scene.
That was pretty
Rob
good.
Schneider.
With Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider.
So after the supposed coup that Rob Schneider tries to take command from Kelsey Grammer's character, Captain Dodge, Commander Dodge.
I love that they
make him
up.
walk the plank. Did you notice the dress? Like all the uniform, like the costumes they made.
Well, the beer can bandolier they had across their chest, and like I thought that was pretty good. And you can tell they're like just going crazy with it. And
there is something to hold to truth for that. Like, so apparently it used to be. I don't know if it still is, but it was common practice when sailors cross the equator for the first time, they do some kind of ritual where they dress up like all funny and
cool.
Perform different rituals. It's like it's a rite of passage type of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, but it's not like
it's not cruel.
It's not cruel. Like, yeah, exactly. It's not
good
cruel.
Fun. Very nice. You got another scene you want to point out, Goose?
I don't want to take them all, but if it doesn't get mentioned, I'll mention it.
Okay. So, one of the parts that I will mention is when they're trying to be super quiet And of course, the one character of the batch who is the cook, Ken Hudson Campbell, as Buckman, lets it rip and almost gives away their position.
Complete radio silence just destroyed by a fart.
Yes, and also in that scene though, when they are and Buckman just freaking, I love the responses and everything, but this is also when I noticed on the William H. Macy's submarine that I laughed, and I'm not sure if you guys picked up on it, that they were making fun of how big the nuclear sub was. Did you guys notice they had a concession stand on the nuclear sub? And he's like, oh, I have a candy bar. Okay, cool. You know, like, I'm like, it's that, like, that's the joke of how big it was.
Yeah.
But
Someone dropped 45 cents.
yeah, exactly. Like, that was great.
Quarter.
But I will say, of a trivia thing, that the set of the nuclear-powered sub was actually very likely to be the Hunt for Red October's same set. Because it was a Paramount... Hunt for Red October was a Paramount movie, but it was 20th Century Fox was doing Down Periscope, so it was quite possibly the production company may have rented the set of the Red October because it would have been a lot cheaper than just building one from scratch.
Right, nice.
Does this make Kelsey Grammer a Disney princess? Because 20th Century Fox is now owned by Disney.
Well, he's also in The Simpsons. Let's not forget that.
True. Sideshow Bob.
Captain Bagels, name off a another notable scene that you would like to
Die,
note,
Bart, die.
that you think is noteworthy.
Well, I can mention it that I think it's noteworthy. Not a funny scene, but when they're doing the scene about the crush depth test, where they drop down to 500 feet, I will say that as a trivia thing, is that ship of submarine was only rated for 400 feet. But, so that's actually literally way, like 100 feet past. Now, it was not unusual for submarines during peace times to stay around 400 feet. That, like I said, that is the rated crush depth of that submarine. But in war times, they would actually regularly dive deeper than the 400 feet to actually survive relatively unscathed. You know, like most ships just made it because it's overrated. But so that was just the knowledge that I found out on that.
More Cabo
Wabo.
Nice punctuality. Cabo Wabo.
All right.
That's how boring you were, Bagels.
So that's the scene. That's
Oh, you gotta play Soul Jacker.
oh my god.
It'll come.
All right, I'm gonna tell you about two scenes that I think are absolutely funny, but you know they're not stellar out. You know, like hilarious like the other things. I told you that this movie has a lot of witty and also excellent writing when it comes to dialogue. One of my favorite things is basically when the crew first gets in the boat. We actually have a scene where Buckman, the chef, finally meets for the first time Nitro, who is the electrician on the boat, and it's basically
that actor too. I forgot about him.
Yeah, Toby Huss is the actual one who plays Nitro. And the thing is, like, Buckman's just like, hi, hi, I'm Buckman, and then Nitro says. Nitro is like, you got a real name or is that your name? I know, nickname.
And he
Mike.
was a fun character.
He's like, I'm working on a nickname though. Here, Mike.
Well, I liked how he kept on getting shocked and he would change personalities, that he was like a different person. You know, now he's like, bottom of the fourth, around in the third base, you know. And that
right
was
before that, he's singing Frank Sinatra or something,
Yeah.
Dean Martin or something.
Oh, yeah. That was...
Yeah, I liked how he had to keep taking off. He didn't have enough wire length, so he used his body as the conductor. So he would lick his frickin' fingers and, like, connect.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, he would take his toes, grab the one wire, lick his fingers and then like hit the circuit board and like, you're on.
Yeah, that was great.
And then the other thing that I want to mention here, because I think, did anybody else catch that there's a little bit overemphasis by Rob Schneider to say prepare for dive? And it was just absolutely hilarious. Like, I crack up at it. Every single time you watch it, it just gets more hilarious. So, basically, here's Rob Schneider. He's just like, prepare for dive. And he's just like, prepare for dive! And it's like, his whole entire neck just, like, moves back and forth. Like, nobody would ever say it that way.
Small details, nothing big, but you know, I always like seeing how movies are produced or like things you may not notice. When Pascal, Rob Schneider's character, gets blown into the water while the crew is cleaning the sub at the beginning of the movie, you can actually see that there's 3 other people in the water, and that was because those people were actually blown into the water the same way that Pascal was, or Rob Schneider, but that was for the trailer for the movie, so they just didn't bother to, you know, knock him out of the scene or something. So, little details.
So, just one more scene that I want to mention. Obviously, that wouldn't be kosher today. It's when they shrank...
Panty raid. That's what they did.
Yeah, they shrank Lake's uniform. And you see the cleave.
The cleave. Yes.
Favorite scene of mine, especially at 8 years old.
And let's not forget about the tattoo on the penis.
Oh,
welcome aboard!
Okay, so there's the tattoo on the penis, which was like this whole story, right? Now, going back to what you just said, Goose, about like not kosher today, the one thing I will say, like, slightly dates, not dates it, but like, it just kind of not needed, is it like, all of a sudden, at the very end of the movie, the character...
He whips it out, doesn't he?
Well, no, Lauren Holly's character, Emily, she kisses Kelsey Grammer, and then they end up being like a thing at the end of the movie. And you're like, there's no real reason for it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, oh, thank you. It's like, why? You know what I mean? Like, but that's the only thing.
That is true. Like that situation would never ever happen. She proved herself to be a strong, confident, and competent woman in her position. There's no reason why that would actually make a woman all of a sudden fall in love with you.
She's like,
and that's where they mess up in this.
Yeah, that is like, I think that's the thing that makes it a time of the 90s. You know what I mean? Because no matter what a movie, the person could be the woman could be the most powerful woman in the freaking world, and then she goes and like kisses the man. Like, I need a man. Like in today's movie, that's where like if they were rebooting it, that's the thing they would like cut. But yeah,
they'd have a gay person on the sub too.
Yeah.
Which
it's a new.
I'm just saying, if it was remade today, it's more diverse. Something.
Well,
I don't care.
Disney. Disney just has to do that. Like
it's a sub full of
they
semen.
just did that with their Loki characters.
They're all Siemens.
I guess that's why they had the YMCA at the end of it.
Oh, well, do you remember the line in the beginning
like...
of the movie? Where the guy's like, they're carrying the oxygen tank or whatever kind of tank up the ramp, and the guy's like, we're in the Navy, this ain't the YMCA or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. Well.
But other than that, I think that, like, pretty much a lot of noteworthy scenes about this movie. I'm just going to say, RipleyGoose, would you definitely recommend this movie if anybody was actually about to watch it for the first time ever?
Absolutely. It's kid-friendly. I mean, the jokes in it are, like, funny for adults, but fly over children's heads. You know, the whole movie is pretty... It's funny. It's not, like, knee-slapping, the entire movie, but...
It's just it's
funny.
Good,
it's a good
clean...
movie.
It's a clean, crisp movie.
And like you were saying earlier, there is some suspense. There's action. You know,
it has a loose premise, makes sense, but it gets to the jokes right away, and you're just like enjoying yourself. You're not like, oh, that's never gonna happen. That's not the type of movie it is. It's just have a good time, enjoy the movie.
Oh, and it's a good, you know, for children, it's a good military propaganda film, because when I was a child, I was like, I want to be on a submarine. Now thinking about it, I'm like, that seems awful.
Oh, Yeah, I was gonna bring that up to you guys. Like when I heard about that crush death thing, like if you're in a small metal cylinder and you hear a compression happening, because that is literally the outside world trying to kill you with pressure.
Yeah, the string where he puts the string on the side of the walls. It's like,
yeah,
watch the string.
that would scare the crap out of me. You know what I mean? Like I could not be in submarine.
You get used to it.
Or die, but you know
what I heard? I know a couple people that were in the Navy, and someone that was on a sub.
Yeah.
They have to keep the oxygen levels pretty low during the missions, but when it's time to like clean the ship or do something to get it ready, or like during combat, you turn the oxygen levels up, and it feels like you have like you just snorted cocaine because you have so much energy compared to how much you normally have.
That's crazy. And like
insider fact.
Also, think about it. Like they're in the water for so long, under the water, so they don't see the sun for many days. You know,
That's why a lot of the walkways are green, because apparently it's a very common color.
Well, I will say that the other thing I wanted to bring up was like I always like to look at movies as time capsules, a look back to the time, and this is 1996. The other movies of the year 1990, it was a good year. Independence Day was the highest grossing film of that year at $306 million. Second place was actually Twister with 241, and third place was Mission Impossible at 180 mil. And then you got some other solid films peppered in there, such as The Rock. You have the first Scream came out that year.
Now, how many of those movies could have been ruined with the cell phone?
Well, possibly many of them. Possibly some of them.
You say time capsule. Look, movies as time capsules.
They had
That's
beepers.
what I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Oh yeah,
movies
and, like,
are time capsules.
Space Jam and Broken Arrow, those came out that year too, as well as the.
You're like, you take a look at the cell phone technology in that movie. You're like, it's a brick. It's a brick phone.
Well,
look at that.
And also to set you back, because we are also talking about video games sometimes, and the video game console of that year, I will give you guys
PlayStation.
Nope. N64. Yes. And that was the where we had the big cartridges. And Smee, as I remember, there was a game that came out that year that you really, or at least 4 years later, I think, I remember you going out for a wrestling game. Do you remember?
Resident Evil?
WrestleMania 2000, if I remember correctly.
Oh my God.
You were looking for it everywhere. That is what I remember for that console.
Yeah, it was during the Raw Nitro days.
Is that D-Generation X? Suck it?
Yeah, that was like actually like probably the best generation of wrestling, but not to get off topic in there.
Yeah,
but
the Attitude Era.
Why. Yep. It was great.
Oh man. And that's pretty much the bulk of that movie.
My suggestion is go watch it, Bagels.
I recommend it as well. I think it doesn't like it. It's an hour and a half. It's crisp. It's clean. Like I was saying, it's not the jokes. It's lighthearted, and you don't have to overthink it. Just have a good time.
Shmee?
Absolutely hilarious movie. Definitely rewatchable. And every single time you watch it, you pick up on something that you missed from last time and it just gets more hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For me, it is one of those movies. Like every time it's on TV, I'll watch it. I don't care. Like,
yep.
Doesn't matter how many times I've seen it.
You get enthralled. Oh look, it's on TV. You just sit down and watch. So it's always the best kind of movie.
Well, it's that time. When we hear this music, we know we're on the way out. I will say that we have a potential next movie, and what are we thinking about reviewing next time, gentlemen?
Well, we talked about The Sweetest Thing. It's a possibility.
Yes. We have Nothing But Trouble with Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, and Chevy Chase.
Dan Aykroyd's only film that he directed, and probably the last time he will direct a movie.
Wait, is that horror movie? That bad horror?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so I'm
Nothing
thinking
But Trouble.
Nothing But Trouble and Big Trouble in Little China. But I'm thinking, why don't we aim to do Nothing But Trouble next time?
Sounds good.
And why don't you sign us off, Smee?
Thank you all for listening. This has been Down Periscope Review by Noble Thoughts by Idiots. Always listen to us. We're actually on Anchor.com. So please download us. You can also find us on YouTube. Get the word out there. You like this podcast? Definitely spread the word out there that we're here and we review things and we're hilarious. So once again, thank you all for listening. We got RipleyGoose, Captain Bagels, and myself, Smee. And we'll be listening, hoping that you'll be listening to us next time on the next podcast.
Bye.